Hello. First of all, I want to acknowledge my international listeners. Of course, the world is international, but I'm in America, and of course, as an American, I think the world centers around America. Not really, I've been around. But I want to just acknowledge the people in different parts of the world. I see where you're listening from, and it's pretty cool to see towns and cities I've never heard of across the world. I'm still looking to get more listeners in Africa and Asia come through, but I see you in Canada, I see you in Australia, I see you around Europe, I see you around the States, and even Asia. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Today I'm going to be a little bit more personal. I don't even have notes. I've just drafted the title of this episode to be Meds and Marathons because it's alliterated. And I just kind of want to give a little update, snapshot on my life, especially in relevance to my health and my fitness, because that's what this podcast is about. And I'm a holistic health coach, or at least that's what I call myself. So I'll start with the medicine part. I am taking anti-anxiety meds and I am feeling great. So I think I've struggled, I don't know if struggled is the right verb, but I've dealt with anxiety, I believe, for my whole life. It's mental health issues run in my family, depression and anxiety, and I've talked about it here. But I think ever since I was little, I remember like biting my nails. I remember being really obsessive about counting numbers and being really ritualistic with my habits. And that was a way that I felt safe in a lot of changes. I moved around a lot from when I was a baby, so I was used to lots of changes, and it happens, right? So I have done therapy. I am a regular exerciser. I know my nutrition stuff as a nutrition coach. It's a part of what I do and something I've been interested in for a long time, most of my life. And I meditate every day in some way. I journal. I do a lot of what we call quote unquote self-care stuff. And of course, that's morphed and evolved over the years. Whereas before, I felt like it was a very regimented routine. I have to do this thing. Now I lean more into joy and pleasure and what it lights up my spirit and allowing myself to rest. And that's a huge part of the 4-H method. If you struggle at all with being tight around exercise and food, or you feel like it's never enough, even if you feel like you're pretty loose and you go back and forth, the 4-H method is a place for you. Come join us. And it's part of why I created it. But things got pretty bad this year, and I'm not sure exactly why. I'm still don't know all the answers. I've talked with my therapist. I don't know if even my best friends, like, I don't know if I've always been so anxious and I just wasn't as aware of it and I had unhealthy coping tools, or I just kind of ignored it a little bit, or if it actually got worse. So whatever the reason, it got pretty bad this year. And I've had bouts of it being bad in the past. A few years ago, I was having intense anxiety. I would have breakdowns. I would just start crying. I couldn't function well. And that was when I started therapy again after a hiatus. And things got a little better. But this year, things were intense again. And this is like little, like quote unquote, little things that might not be a big deal otherwise felt huge, like the end of the world, like comet coming down to the earth right in my yard level, or I'm going to die. This is so serious. I feel so unsafe. Little things, just little things felt that big. And sometimes I would try to feel it. I would try to like just experience it without labeling it or trying to change it. And I would just feel it. And that's when it felt so intense. Like it would just, I felt the intensity of the anxiety from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. It like reverberated through my whole body, and I just allowed it. And usually after I allowed it to like just pass and just felt the intensity of it, it would fade away, but it didn't stop it from continuing. So it kept happening. I would have these recurring episodes and little things would trigger it. And then sometimes I would try to distract myself and do something else and like go and do something fun or watch something. But there was always this low-grade anxiety kind of just reverberating, and little things felt so big. And I would even do the thought work. I've done a lot of therapy. I'm a coach, so I know like how to challenge thoughts. I've read lots of books. Like I've done a lot. Not that I've done it all, but I've done a lot. So it's not that I didn't have tools or even skills available to me. I've been practicing this stuff for a while, but it felt like I could never get out of it. It felt like I was in a pit and I couldn't just like get my head above water enough to like start walking. Or it felt like whack-a-mole, where one thing would come up and then something else would come up and something else would come up, and I was overwhelmed. Like I didn't have the ability to tackle it or to feel like I had a handle on it. And it was affecting my relationships, especially, and hurting people you love is not fun at all, especially when you have the intention to not, but it feels like it's out of your control. And I don't like to give away my power, so to speak, but it did feel like some of it was beyond my capacity to deal with, even though I tried. And it was affecting my relationships, it was affecting my work, it was affecting me, it was affecting my everyday life, like sleep and energy. And so thankfully, my loving partner, she recommended just checking out medicine as an option. And it was not something, it's something that I've thought about, but hadn't really considered. And through talking it out with friends and my best friend, my partner, I realized it was worth trying. And it was like kind of like a last resort. And I would just try it out and see. So I finally scheduled a meeting with the doctor, an appointment with the doctor. It was really simple. I was in a low place at the time, and I started on a lower dose at the end of August. It's currently the beginning of October. I started a little bit of a higher dose last week, and the difference, especially that first week, was night and day. It's like all the whack-a-moles that I was trying to hit just like quieted down. The holes that I felt like no matter how much I like tried to pour into the holes, that they just kept dripping and falling and like draining. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't fill it up. It felt like the medicine just like leveled out all those holes where I could float. Whatever analogies you want to use, I came out of the water, I was walking on land. It felt so different. And the things that I worried about were still there. Like I would still think of them, but they just felt so small relative to the big picture. And it's been so much easier to see positive things. The biggest difference, I would say, the biggest difference is that it is so much easier to be present and to just be content in the present and not worried about the future. So things that felt so big and scary just feel a lot smaller. And I'm able to just take in moments like, wow, this is so beautiful. Just standing outside or going for a walk or opening the door in the morning or just being in my bed. and it's changed my relationship with work. I'm a lot less anxious with work and what needs to get done. My relationships have improved exponentially, and it's almost like I can act like after the medicine in therapy, it was kind of like, okay, I don't have to be constantly playing catch up for the last week, from the last week of all the things that I did from anxiety that messed things up. But I can actually like make some progress here. So there's not really a point except that if you do feel like you're at your wit's end with anxiety or mental health issues, food is not medicine as much as food can heal us and help us. Food is not medicine. You can be doing all the quote unquote right things, and it could still not be enough for whatever your brain and your body needs. So my encouragement to you, if you're considering it, is to, if it's possible at all, not to be ashamed, to ask for help, not to be afraid, but to go do it. I hope that you have good people and friends and support in your life that will encourage you to take care of yourself. I'm so grateful for especially my partner and my friend who encouraged me to do it, who normalized it, especially growing up in a culture where the expectation was that God would heal everything. If you had an illness, you could just pray it away. And a lot of dismissal and denial and minimizing of mental health issues, and really, health as a sign of spirituality, which is not true at all. So I'm so grateful that I have this. I can keep you updated in the future. And I'm really grateful for my medical team, and as shitty as health insurance is in America, I am grateful for what I have currently and the ability to have enough in my life to be able to have it. And I'm just grateful. It is wonderful. Life changer, game changer. Highly, highly recommend at least trying and talking with your doctor about it. And this is not medical advice, of course. Talk with your doctor. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just sharing my story. The other thing that happened recently is in the beginning of summer, partly due to my anxiety, because I had so much energy, I would be so restless. I would shift from being really low in energy to being so high in energy where I would have to burn it off physically, to feel kind of baseline or to feel okay. And so running sounded like a great idea at the beginning of the summer. Also dealing with shifts in my relationships and routines. I just needed something to focus on. I wanted something to have a goal around. And so I decided, hey, around my birthday, September 28th, there's a half marathon in Chicago. And last year, I've done some episodes on it. Last summer, I was a little bitter about the running. Honestly, looking back in hindsight, I was like, people don't need to run. Why do we need to run? This sucks. And that was also me coming to terms with healing around my relationship with running in the past. And it was a big part of my eating disorder and disordered exercise behaviors. So I was grappling a lot with running and getting back into it. And I had the support of friends and others during that race. And I just decided after my half marathon, I am never doing that again. And hey, maybe I still will never do it again. But I decided to do it. I decided to do it this year. It was something to focus on, and it was fun. I had a clear goal in mind. I'm not even going to share that goal because it doesn't feel relevant. You don't need to compare, but I had a clear goal in mind that I believed I could do. It was a little bit of a stretch goal, but it was exciting. And I trained for it. And then a few weeks, 3 weeks before my race, beginning of September, I'm going out for a longish run. And then, okay, so the sidewalks, they have the grass around the sidewalk, at least in Madison and in other areas. So I was weirdly, oddly, for some reason, just skirting the left side of the sidewalk for whatever reason, and I happened to trip between the edge of the sidewalk, the cement, and the grass. So I twisted my left ankle, and I've had a lot of ankle sprains on my right ankle in the past, like when I was injured and still running and into extreme unhealthy behaviors around exercise. I didn't really take care of myself when I was injured, because the goal was always to just accomplish numbers, specific numbers. I was in a disordered place, an unhealthy place. So anyways, left side this time, I trip. Ouch, this hurts. I go back. And I think, oh, what do I do? This is not too bad. I'm just gonna rest and see how it feels. So I rested the whole week from running. Next week, I'm like, the race is in 2 weeks. Like, I gotta see if I can do this. Let's go on a long run. So I'm out on the long run. I'm looking down. I'm careful. And I'm like a mile and a half in. If you're in Madison, I was around Orton Park. And I live on the east side. I was on Orton Park. And again, why on the left side? I don't even know. I was on the left side again. I trip again. And this time, it's a lot worse. I feel it. I hear it like kind of crack. And it hurts so badly. And so I'm on the ground. I'm like nursing my foot and elevating it as much as possible. And then I look down and I see that I had scratched my right knee, and it was bleeding down my leg. And then I finally get on a bench, and I'm like listening to some meditation by like a poem by Rumi, because I'm Michelle. And it was beautiful, and I was taking in the park because I had to rest anyways. And then I like lift up my arm, and I see that I have like blood, like a scratch on my arm, and like kind of a bruise on my right, around my right elbow, and it's hurting. And so I limp the mile and a half back home, probably looking really pitiful because I tied my sweatband from my head around my ankle, and I'm limping. And I end up going to a comedy show with my girlfriend and some friends, and it's hurting so bad. My ankle, it's okay. I'm used to this pain, but my right arm is hurting so bad. And next day, my girlfriend takes me to the hospital, and I get an x-ray. Turns out, I find out that I fractured the head of my radial bone, so the side of the bone that's on the side of your thumb. The head, there's like a line through it. It had just broken because I landed on it weird. And so I'm wearing a sling, taking a bunch of ibuprofen and acetaminophen, and wearing compression stuff on my elbow and then on my ankle, icing constantly, trying to rest, using it a little bit more than I should have probably. And then comes the question of the race. Can I do it? I try running short runs, and I felt okay. My ankle is not too bad. There's some bruising, but it didn't hurt relative to my arm. And so I'm going back and forth. Should I do this race? I was really excited about running through Chicago. Like, I had this goal in mind. I'll let go of the goal. This is probably good for me. I'll just have fun. But it's so early, and I'd have to leave really early, and there's a lot going on, but this is my birthday gift, and blah, 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 blah. And I just, you have something that you plan in your mind, and you want to keep it. And then life kind of sidelines you, and you're like, wait a second. So I decided, I went to my therapist's appointment, and I asked her about the race. Old me would have been like, I'm not even going to ask her because I don't want to hear any advice. I just want to do whatever I want to do. But I asked her advice. She recommended against it. And I decided on Thursday, just a few days before the race, to pay the fee to defer my race for another time and not do the race. And I went on a run this week, and it was great. My ankle is fine, a short run, my elbow is fine. But in hindsight, I have zero regrets. I am so glad that I did not do the race for multiple reasons, and I ended up having the best birthday weekend. I felt so present. I felt so loved and taken care of and had so much fun. And it was wonderful. And so I feel way more relaxed going back to the meds and the marathon. And I'm excited to get back into my routine. I have been exercising a little bit and working out to the extent that I can. I've been careful with my arm and moving other parts of my body, which is good. And I kind of am feeling a little restless, like I miss my full body function, but it's okay. I was talking with some clients in a group the other day, and I mentioned that one of the biggest signs of knowing that I have a healthy relationship with exercise is not what I can do, but what I'm okay with not doing. So one of the biggest ways I know that I have a healthy relationship with exercise is not based on what I can do, but what I'm okay with not doing. So resting. If I'm able to rest and not feel like a blob or not get in my head or not limit my food or get scared that everything's going to change, I know that I'm in a healthy place. And I am so proud that this time there has been some things that have come up, like a sense of laziness maybe has come up, but it doesn't take over, and I'm able to recognize it and think big picture around what is best for my body overall and be gentle with myself. And that is not something that I used to be able to do. I'm pretty sure that me, of even just a few years ago, would have pushed through, would have been like, no, I decided to do this race, I'm gonna do it. And I would have been disappointed if I didn't get my goal. Even with an injury, I wouldn't have given myself slack. So if you were in a place maybe where you're hard on yourself, where it is hard for you to take rest days, where you might be in recovery with disordered eating, disordered exercise, or maybe it's been a part of your story in the past, maybe you can relate to me in the chill factor, but maybe there's still some room to grow in this chill factor. I know I have more room to grow. I just want to encourage you that peace is possible, and freedom is not just doing whatever you want or whatever you can. It's knowing what to decide, knowing that you have a choice in what is best, not just what you can do or what you want to do, but knowing that you have the choice to decide what is best for you. And you can have joy in relaxing a little bit more, in trusting your body more, in relying on others more. My website currently, you deserve and can have complete joy, peace, and freedom with food, exercise, and your body. And sometimes I'm like, that's a really steep promise to make. That's a really big claim, but I know that it's possible. And we're not going for perfection. It's not about like having perfect joy or perfect peace or whatever. Or like never having any issues with your body. That's not it. It's just knowing that you have access to that inside you. And it might be medicine. It might be quitting a marathon. It might not be those things for you, whatever it is for you, but you do have access to that. It is possible for you. And that is why my work exists, because you deserve it and you can have it. And it will look different for everybody, but it is possible to move towards that. And so my invitation is to move towards that. And I really just want to extend an invitation to you to check out the 4-H method. You don't have to join if you don't feel ready, but I encourage you to just go to the website. Why don't you click the link, 4-H method, especially if you've never been there before, or maybe you clicked it and you didn't really read through it, or you were not in a place where you were open to it, and maybe now you are, check out the 4-H method. Just read through it all the way down to the bottom. And it is such a beautiful, magical place to grow in your health, to build skills, and to be supported in your fitness and your health from a place of already enough, of letting go a little bit more, of relaxing a little bit more and experiencing that deep peace, that freedom and that joy, because you deserve it. And it's not the only way for you to have it. I'm not the only way. The 4-H method is not the only way, but it can definitely support you. So go check it out. That's my ask for you. And if you liked this, give it a good rating, share it with someone. I hope that you enjoyed listening to my stories. If you have any questions or comments, send them to me, put them below. You are so loved and enough, just as you are right now. Have a beautiful day.